This video we're going to talk about the mean and how to find the mean. And when you see the word mean, it really is the same thing as the average, which some people are more familiar with the term average. Most people are familiar with this concept because in school, at the end, our grades are generally averaged. And so you understand that you take a number of tests and then your grade ends up being what your average was on each of those tests. And so how we find the average, or mean, is what you will likely see on the test is the word mean, is we add up all the values and divide by how many values there are. So, for example, let's say we're going to find the mean of these numbers: 29, 40, 40, 20, 11. What's the mean of these numbers, or the average? What we're going to do is add all these up and divide by how many there are. How many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So most of these problems you're going to see probably in the calculator portion, where you can just plug this into your calculator. But remember that there are the first few questions on the test, you cannot use your calculator. So if you don't know how to add these numbers up and then divide by 5 on paper, then you need to learn how to do that, and you need to watch the videos that I have way at the beginning, way at the bottom of the Facebook page. Talks about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's say we're going to do this by hand. Again, on the test you can probably use your calculator to do this. So I'm not going to go through this, but you need to know how to do this for other parts of the test. So 9 plus 1 is 0. Carry the 1. Well, it's 10. Carry the 1. 3 plus 4 is 7. Plus another 4 is 11. Plus 2 is 13. Plus 1 is 14. So the sum of the values, remember sum means addition. You need to know that word. So 140 is the sum of the values. And then we're going to divide that by the number of values given. And we said there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So we're going to divide by 5. Again, you need to know how to do this by hand, but in this kind of problem you can use your calculator as well. 140 divided by 5. 5 goes into 1 0 times. 5 goes into 14 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. 14 minus 10 is 4. Bring the 0 down. Again, if you don't know how to do this, watch the videos way at the beginning. Some of the first videos I posted are about division. 5 goes into 40 8 times, and that's our answer, 28. So the average, or the mean, of these values is 28. We'll do another problem. Let's find the mean of 18, 19, 20, 20, 22, 23, 25. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So again, finding the mean, we're going to do the exact same thing every time. Sum of the values, add all these up. So 18 plus 19 plus 20 plus 20 plus 22 plus 23 plus 25. You plug that in your calculator or do it by hand, and you're going to get 169. So that's the sum of the values. We're going to divide by how many values we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 169 divided by 7. You can plug that into your calculator. You're going to get a big long number. It's about 24.14. And remember, the question said round to the nearest tenth. If you don't know what that means, you need to watch the videos again. They're towards the bottom of the page, some of the very first videos I did about rounding. So this is the tenths spot. We look to the right. 4 is less than 5, so we're going to keep it the same. So our answer is going to be 24.1. So this kind of a problem is very straightforward. If they just give you the numbers and ask you to find the mean, that's pretty straightforward. Let's do one that you are also likely to see, which involves algebra. And so again, there's also videos on algebra on the Facebook page. So if you don't know how to do algebra, you really, Veronica. So we have Veronica. She scored a 75 and a 71 on her first two tests. To raise her average, or her mean, we'll say, to a score of 80, what grade does she need on the third test? So this is like school. So you've taken two tests, you got a 75, 71. In the end, you want to score an overall 80. So what score do you need on this last test, on this third test, in order to give you an average of 80? Well, so we're going to start out the same way. Sum of the values, so we have 75 plus 71 plus our third test, which is what we're trying to figure out. So we're going to call it x. So the sum of the values, so our 75, our 71, and then whatever we're going to get on the third test, we're going to divide that by how many tests that we are going to take. So we've taken two, we're going to take a third, so that'll be 3 tests total. So if we add our scores from all 3 tests, divide by 3, that's going to give us our average. And we want our average to be 80. So if we add up all of our tests, divide by 3, how do we get an 80? What is the score we need on that last test? So that's why that's x. So now we just need to solve for x. If you don't know how to solve for x, you don't know how to do algebra, you need to watch the videos on algebra. This algebra is going to permeate this test, so you need to be able to solve for this. So how are we going to do this? Well, we first need to get rid of this 3, because in the end we want to get x by itself, so we need to get rid of this 3. This is dividing by 3, so to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by 3. If we multiply this side by 3, we have to multiply this side by 3. 3 divided by 3, that just goes to 1. So we're left with 75 plus 71 plus x equals 80 times 3. You can plug that in your calculator. You should be able to do it by hand. That's 240. So now we have 75 plus 71 plus x equals 240. Again, we're trying to solve for x, so we're trying to get x by itself. We can do this addition. 75 plus 71 will give you 146. So now we have 146 plus x equals 240. So we want to get x by itself. How do we get rid of this 146 so it only says x here? Well, this is a positive 146. So to get rid of it, I'm going to come up here. We're going to subtract 146. That didn't work out very well. So we're subtracting 146 from each side. So I'm going to try and write it smaller. 146 plus x minus 146 equals 240 minus 146. So we're trying to get rid of this 146. 146 minus 146 is 0. So we have x equals 246 or 240 minus 146 is 94. So that is the answer to the question. What grade do you need to get on the third test? You need to get a 94 in order for your average to be 80. I'm going to pause and put another question up on the board. Okay, I've put a new problem up on the board, and this is a word problem, which a lot of people, when they see a lot of words, they start to get panicked and confused, but don't let that happen to you. So you just need to read the question and probably reread it and pull out the relevant information. So this question says, on the first two tests of the year, James scored 100 and 70 respectively. He then scored a 96 on his third test. There is just one test remaining, and James wants to finish the semester with a 90 average. What score does he need to receive on the fourth test of the semester to finish with a mean score of 90? So a lot of words, but we just really need a few of the numbers here. So on the first two tests of the year, James scored 170. So we need those two numbers. He then scored a 96 on the third test. There's one test left. He wants to finish with a 90 average. So the question is, what score does he need on the fourth test? So again, average sum of the values divided by the number of values given. This is very similar to what we did last time. He scored 100, a 70, a 96, and they're asking us what score does he need on the fourth test. X, that's what we're trying to figure out. When we find the average, we're going to divide by how many there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 tests, and he wants to get a 90. So again, we're going to solve for X, just like we did last time. You need to be able to do this. So we need to get rid of this 4 on the bottom. It's dividing by 4, so in order to get rid of it, we do the opposite, which means we're going to multiply by 4. If we multiply one side by 4, we have to multiply the other side by 4. Remember, a dot means multiplication. This cancels out, and we're left with 100 plus 70 plus 96 plus X equals 90 times 4 is 360. Still solving for X. We can add these up. So 100 plus 70 plus 96, you are going to get 266 plus X equals 360. So we're just solving for X, which is very easy. This is a positive 266. So to get rid of that, I'm going to come up here. We're going to subtract 266 from each side. (266 minus 266 is 0, so X equals 360 minus 266, which is 94. So that is the score he has to get on this fourth test in order to have an average of 90.